It's time for Superhero Static Shock Season 3. Superhero Static Shock Season 3. Review right here on my YouTube channel. I couldn't think of anything else on how to do this, so hope you enjoyed. Greetings, geeks and nerds, and ladies universe and white and nerdy, and yes, we are taking a look at Season 3 of Static Shock. This is a follow-up to my previous 2 seasons reviews, and sorry to keep most of you waiting. So, if you guys haven't seen Season 3 of Static Shock yet, then should be informed that there will be some slight spoilers in this for you guys, so go and check this out, otherwise spoilers. Yes, everyone, revel in this together that Static Shock has returned to this YouTube channel after he had been gone for, I think, like 3 months by this point. Revel in this together, join around, except I'm gonna keep you guys waiting until I finish off the series. 'Cause I'm a dick. Well, let's see, it's June, so maybe by like August or before school goes back in, then we'll return to Static. I'm keeping you all waiting because that's what I like to do here. So Static Shock's first 2 seasons were very well done. They were very, very well handled and very well performed. Though this time, Static would see quite a major change. But I mean that in a good way. See, sometimes animated series sometimes change their production values, like we have seen with Batman the Animated Series, which I did review. We've also seen that kind of in Superman the Animated Series, which I also reviewed. So Static not only got an upgrade in animation quality, which made him, in my honest opinion, look better, he also got my favorite, and I do mean favorite outfit that he had ever worn. Nothing against his original costume, but what did Gear say in the original when he wore that Black Vulcan costume? What did he say?
You look like a battery commercial. Next.
Alright, jokes aside, I'll admit, yes, I'm not a big fan of Static's original design. Though the animation was kind of funny in the first season. But Season 2 of Static, my god, man, did this series look gorgeous, and they really upped up the animation, which made the series look all the more beautiful. And not only did Static get an upgrade with his costume, but he also got an upgrade with a brand new sidekick, his best friend, that would be his comrade in arms for the rest of the series. For those of you that don't know, in the only second season of Static Shock did Virgil's best friend Richie start to become a superhero and a sidekick, as Richie would use his genius-level intellect to invent himself a suit to aid him in crime fighting, and what's more, to help out his best friend and his fellow comrade in arms. As I can think of nobody better for a fellow sidekick or comrade in arms for Static more so than his best friend Richie, who would become known as Gear. I think the inclusion of making Richie his own superhero, well, sidekick in this case, is a great idea, as you can look at Richie very similar to how Bucky looked up to Captain America, and also how Robin looked up to Batman. The comparison is right there in your face, and it's definitely worth it. Or if you want a better comparison, it's how Miles looked up to Peter, except the roles, in this case, are reversed. It is great to have him in the series because not only was he Virgil's basically comrade in arms and best friend, he wasn't really a sidekick. Okay, in a sense he was, but here with the upgrade in his system, he basically adapted to what was happening. And also they explained that Richie somehow, in a very confusing way, they explained that Richie was also affected by the bane gas in some regard. So that explains his genius level intellect, apparently. So we'll just go with it, because, hey, they even found out he was a Bane baby in some regards, so it's like, whatever, we'll let it slide with Richie. Maybe somehow Static basically affected Richie and made him just basically smarter. You can kind of look at him as, like, Beast from the X-Men, someone whose genius level intellect is better both on-field and off-field, but it was great and perfect to have Richie involved in this, and especially with Static's upcoming enemies in the series, hey, we had to start somewhere. But don't think that just because the other 2 seasons had their own special guest stars that this one didn't either. Oh no, quite different than that, in fact. Cause remember how I said that season 2 had a crossover with Batman and Robin? Basically to try to like amp up and get more viewers and get more money for Static Shock to create more seasons. Well, you know how sometimes they say it's best if you do a trick twice to see how well it works? In this case, 2 times was the charm. Because within the very first episode, yes indeed, Static teamed up with Batman and Robin yet again. This is the best way to kick off an animated series, especially with a new season. Have them team up with Batman to take down Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy. And who better for Phil Lamar to join up forces with than with the legendary Kevin Conroy within the first appearance of his very next season. A great way to start.
But I'd say she's earned some trust.
Sir, I brought the car around. Whenever you're ready.
Hey! And she's not the only one.
Want even more awesome? How about Static teaming up with a Nazi, the African Spider God, voiced by the iconic, amazing, and legendary Carl Lumbly.
Hey, friend Demand, shall we dance?
Who is that?
Want even more awesome? How about Static and Rishi teaming up with the fucking Justice League? Oh no, that is not a joke. The man, myth, and legend even has a crossover with R&B superstar and legend, Little fucking goddamn Romeo. What?
Now this is what I call style.
Speaking of Little Romeo, the series producers, animators, Dwayne Duffy, Bruce Timm, whoever, got in contact with Little Romeo's father, P. Diddy? Is that his father? I'm trying to think. It's been a while since I've heard his name. P. Diddy, Uncle P, Grandmaster P, something with P related in here. And they got in contact with him and also Little Romeo and said, say, how would you like to help us boost your son's basically stardom and help us basically increase our views by having your son perform the theme song for season 3 and 4. And in case most of you think that I am lying, no, I'm not. That actually happened. Little Romeo performs the season 3 and 4 opening of Static Shock. Well, opening and also ending. Yes, that is right. You heard this correctly. So it wouldn't surprise me if Little Romeo actually asked them himself, like, hey, can I cameo in an episode? I mean, I'm making you guys money, so we help each other out here, we assist each other or something. It really wouldn't surprise me if he actually asked to be in an episode. But within far none, season 3 is actually where things got better. Both animation value, the sidekick, and a bunch of really awesome team-ups that I still haven't even finished talking about. Because he has a really interesting team-up with Superman, and he had some really awesome and noteworthy episodes in this season. But not as many as one would suggest. Far from it, if I can remember correctly, there's only a few of them in this series that I'm actually gonna talk about. So, why don't we talk about my only few favorite episodes, and as far as I'm concerned, I believe there's only 3 or 4 episodes just to talk about in this series that I'm gonna talk about really quickly. And in case you're wondering, no, Romeo, his introduction, not one of my favorites. Sorry to anyone that's a Little Romeo fan and a diehard one, but he's not in this. But I'm gonna save my favorite one for last, and I don't think that I'm actually going to spoil it, but just try and talk about it because I really want to save it for the top 10. But then again, I might change my decision. And don't worry, the top 10 is coming. I just have one more season to go. So you just have to be patient until the season goes up before you see that top 10. So, with that all said and done, why don't we talk about my favorite Season 3 Static Shock episodes? So let's kick this off with Static in Africa. Yes, this Static Shock episode where he goes and studies his roots by going to the great old country known only as Africa. Where Static happens to run into the spider god Anansi, who, believe it or not, needs his help. Even though Anansi is a strong spider god and his superpowers always change, sometimes he needs his help. And this was an awesome team up. Anansi teaming up with Static Shock was a very wonderful episode, and it was a really enjoyable one. And also the chemistry between Carl Lumbly and Phil Lamar.
It's just that sometimes I wish there was a black superhero back home for folks to look up to.
Oh, but there is. And he is my hero too.
A League of Their Own two-parter where Static and Richie, or Gear, teams up with the Justice League. It's an awesome crossover. Especially when by accident, the boys accidentally unleash Brainiac onto the world, one of Superman's and the Justice League's most formidable enemies, so big whoops on their part. It's an awesome episode filled with great moments, suspense, and including a great commentary between the Justice League and Static. It is a really awesome crossover episode. And if I had to pick one episode to get started with, this would definitely be the first episode I'd recommend to you to check out Static Shock in a heartbeat.
Funny the most. Turns out there's a lot of power in plain old friendship. Sometimes we forget that.
For a rookie, you did well, Static. But I can tell you're going to be a handful when you find
Toys in the Hood, a creative play on the movie Boys in the Hood, where Static Shock actually does team up with the Man of Steel himself, Superman, to help take on Toyman. Very similar to the Justice League crossover, yep, this one's on here because it's just a really awesome, fascinating crossover that you should at least see, especially after the Justice League episode. It's a wonderful, fantastic team-up with some wonderful moments, memorable characters and dialogue and everything. It's just a great and wonderful, valuable time.
I can't thank you enough for saving me, Superman.
Thanks, Static. I couldn't have done it without him. Hey, working with you has been the real deal. If you ever need a sidekick...
Blast from the past. Static actually gets its identity compromised by an old school black superhero who wants to team up with him. The golden age of superheroes is never gone and it never truly dies, and this is a great episode to honor and respect old school superheroes that came before. And also, it's another episode that really exemplifies what a hero really means to everybody, and having great heroes team up together was such an awesome episode.
You gotta muster up a little soul power.
Right on!
Flashback, which has to be my favorite Static Shock episode ever. Back in the past, there was a huge mob war that actually broke out in Dakota, which on the 1-year anniversary had Virgil really depressed, stressed out. He misses his mother more than anything, and he can't move past that horrible night where he actually lost her. That is, until by fate, or accident, he's actually traveled to the night where the incident happens, where the gang war broke out and everything, and finally meets his mom. It is a heartfelt episode and really is one of my favorites that really exemplifies what Static Shock actually means, and this was the best way to do it. This episode is a tearjerker that has a lot of heart, a lot of soul, and everything put into it, but to create one very special and memorable episode I'll never forget.
All of it, but if you are my son, I'm so proud of what you're doing. Imagine my boy as
It should be a no duh or no shit moment to you guys that I highly recommend checking out Static Shock Season 3 or just all the seasons entirely. But Season 3 and 4 is my favorite, especially Season 3 with the episode Flashback. It is a really beautifully handled episode, and right next to the episode Jimmy are probably my 2 all-time favorite episodes, and you guys can tell me which ones that you would pick in the comments down below. And also that moment where Anansi said, where Static goes, I wish that there were other black superheroes that people could look up to. The moment when a Nazi put his hand on his shoulder was letting the world know that this superhero would be in the ranks alongside of Luke Cage and the Black Panther, and later on also side two with Black Lightning and other really awesome black superheroes out there in the world of comic books. And so I ask people, who is your favorite black superhero, or do you have a list? Let me know in the comment section down below. And my three personal favorites are Static Shock at number 1, the Black Panther at number 2, and Storm from X-Men at number 3. But those are just my opinions. So thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Universe. I'd like new to keep you on. Be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon to be notified every single time I make an upload. And also you can follow me at Twitter with the link in the description down below. Next time, however, we'll be going back to basically check on an old friend who's gonna have a blockbuster movie coming up pretty soon. You try to figure out who that is, unless it's in a premiere or it should be premiered already. Then congratulations, you already figured it out. So thank you guys so much for watching. I believe Universe. I believe new to keep you on, and until next time, guys, and as always, take care.